Breaking news out of Dallas today, and Cowboys fans everywhere need to pay attention because this is not just another coaching update. This is a move that could quietly reshape the identity of the entire franchise as Mike Zimmer officially joins the Dallas Cowboys as the new coach. And whether you love it, hate it, or don't quite know what to think yet, one thing is undeniable. This is one of the most serious football-driven decisions the Cowboys organization has made in a long time because Mike Zimmer is not a hype hire. He's not a social media coach. He's not here for flashy quotes or viral moments. He's here to fix problems. And if you've watched the Dallas Cowboys over the last several seasons, you already know there have been plenty of problems that talent alone has not been able to solve, especially when the lights get brightest and the margin for error disappears. And that's exactly where Zimmer's reputation starts to matter. For years, Cowboys fans have watched this team dominate stretches of the regular season, pile up wins, put up numbers, and look like a contender on paper, only to hit the same wall when it comes time to play disciplined, situational, playoff football, and that frustration has created a hunger for real change, not cosmetic change, not another tweak around the edges, but a philosophical shift. And bringing in Mike Zimmer signals that Dallas wants to lean into structure, accountability, and old school football intelligence rather than relying purely on star power and hope. Zimmer's entire coaching identity has been built around preparation, defensive discipline, and understanding how to win ugly when necessary. And that alone already sets him apart from many of the approaches Cowboys fans have seen over the years, because this team has often tried to win by overwhelming opponents rather than out executing them. And that difference matters when you get into late season games against elite competition. Mike Zimmer's background as a defensive mastermind cannot be overstated because wherever he's gone, defenses have become smarter, tougher, and more adaptable. And that's exactly what Dallas needs after seasons of explosive highs followed by confusing breakdowns at the worst possible times. This is a coach who obsesses over details, who believes football games are won before kickoff through preparation and discipline, and who demands that players understand not just what they're doing, but why they're doing it. And when that mindset is applied to a roster as talented as Dallas, the potential impact becomes massive. Think about what this means for a player like Micah Parsons, who is already one of the most dominant defensive forces in the NFL. Under Zimmer, Parsons doesn't just rush the passer. He becomes a movable weapon, a problem that offenses have to identify and account for on every single snap. Because Zimmer loves disguises, he loves pressure looks that don't always turn into pressure. And he loves forcing quarterbacks to make decisions before they're comfortable. And Parsons is the kind of player who can execute that vision at an elite level. Then look at the rest of the defense, a unit that has shown flashes of brilliance, but has also struggled with consistency, communication, and situational awareness, especially against high-level offenses. And suddenly you're talking about a coach who lives for fixing exactly those issues because Zimmer's defenses historically excel at red zone efficiency, third down stops, and limiting explosive plays, which are areas where the Cowboys have too often let games slip away despite having the talent advantage. This hire is also about mindset because Zimmer brings a no-nonsense attitude that immediately changes the tone of a locker room. Mistakes are corrected, effort is non-negotiable, and preparation is expected, not praised. And that kind of environment can be uncomfortable at first, especially for a team used to relying on natural ability. but it's also the kind of environment that produces playoff-ready football teams on the offensive side of the ball. Some fans might worry about how a defense-first coach fits into a league that increasingly revolves around scoring points, but the reality is that Zimmer's philosophy doesn't limit offenses. It challenges them to be smarter, more efficient, and more complementary, because when your defense is disciplined and aggressive, your offense doesn't have to chase points or force plays. And that can be a huge benefit for a quarterback like Dak Prescott, who plays his best football when the game plan is balanced, controlled, and rooted in decision making rather than desperation. Zimmer understands game flow, he understands clock management, and he understands how momentum shifts, and those are things that don't always show up in box scores, but absolutely show up in wins and losses, especially in the postseason. Another underrated aspect of this move is what it says about the Cowboys organization itself, because for years, critics have accused Dallas of prioritizing brand, headlines, and marketability over pure football decisions. And while that perception hasn't come from nowhere, hiring Mike Zimmer pushes back against that narrative in a real way. Because this is not a move designed to dominate social media. It's a move designed to improve third down defense, tighten coverage, and eliminate mental errors. And that should tell fans that the front office recognizes the urgency of the current window. Dak Prescott is not getting younger, the NFC landscape is competitive, and wasting elite talent due to coaching inefficiencies would be a failure at the highest level. So bringing in a coach like Zimmer feels like an acknowledgement that the margin for error is gone and the time to maximize this roster is now. There's also the cultural ripple effect to consider, because Zimmer's presence changes expectations across the board, from veterans to young players, and that can elevate practice intensity, film study habits, and overall professionalism, all of which contribute to sustained success rather than brief peaks. Let's say this is especially important for a team like Dallas, which carries immense pressure every single week due to its national spotlight, because Zimmer's teams are built to block out noise and focus on execution, and that mental toughness could be one of the biggest long-term benefits of this hire. Of course, no coaching move guarantees a Super Bowl, and it's important to be realistic about that. But what this move does is raise the Cowboys' baseline, because even on off days, Zimmer coached teams are rarely unprepared, rarely sloppy, and rarely easy to beat, and that alone can be the difference between a divisional round exit and a deep playoff run. As Zimmer installs his system and philosophy, there will be adjustments, growing pains, and moments where fans question the process. But those moments are often part of meaningful change, and the key will be whether the organization fully commits to his vision rather than backing away at the first sign of discomfort. When you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, this hire feels like Dallas acknowledging that talent has never been the issue, structure has, and that realization is what makes this moment so significant. The Cowboys don't need to reinvent football, they need to master it. And Mike Zimmer represents a return to fundamentals, discipline, and strategic clarity, all wrapped in decades of NFL experience. If this move works the way the Cowboys believe it can, fans may look back on this moment as the turning point when Dallas stopped chasing identity and finally committed to one, and that identity is built on preparation, toughness, and winning the moments that matter most. Whether this ultimately leads to a Super Bowl remains to be seen, but what's clear right now is that the Dallas Cowboys have made a statement to the rest of the league. They are serious about winning, serious about accountability, and serious about doing the hard work required to turn potential into championships. And for Cowboys fans who have waited far too long for January success to match regular season promise, the arrival of Mike Zimmer represents something powerful. Hope grounded not in hype, but in football reality.